that moment as a child when you suddenly understand that other people have their own lives and their own perspectives.
People. Yeah.
And I distinctly remember picking up you from preschool, and Mom always showed up super early. And so we would just sit in the car in the parking lot and we would listen to Dr. Laura for like 20 minutes because you weren't done yet because we arrived like way early. I remember looking out the window and seeing this man walking down the sidewalk trying to wave at him because I was a kid and I thought that that was how you interacted with humans.
No.
And he didn't see me and he just kept going. And I had the sudden realization that like this man had his entire life and his entire existence and I wasn't a part of it. And like it was just this moment of realization that like there's billions and billions of people out there with their own perspectives and their own experiences and you know none of them are me, but they all feel like they're me was kind of the way that I was describing it as a kid. And it just blew my mind. And this was also what triggered my first real existential crisis. Because like the more I thought about it, the more I was like, but that means that like I can't be special because everybody is special. And like what does it even mean to be special?
Oh my gosh.
Like what am I ever gonna do that's important? Probably nothing. Probably like most people never do anything important. We just exist and we just like get older and eat cheese sandwiches and die. And like what is the point of living? What is the point of anything? What is the point of the universe? Mom, help. And like anyway, so I'm a 7-year-old and I'm just like, is this all there is? And Mom was like, yeah. It was so funny. She was just like, yeah, honey, this is it.
Yeah, this is it.
Like, welcome to existence.
Welcome
Sorry
to
about that. And it was so funny. Anyway,
I remember having the distinct feeling when I was a kid that my family was the main family. Like, as if we were characters on a TV show and we were the main characters.
Like, we are the main
And I also felt like Utah
universe.
was the main state. Just really weird thoughts like that and distinct feelings.
Distinct feelings that, like, this is clearly the chosen.
Yeah.
This is the chosen everything.
Yeah.
You know, is your life. Yeah. I remember as a kid, I don't remember necessarily feeling that way, but I remember figuring out that that wasn't the way things really were. And that really I'm just like one grain of sand.
Yeah.
On one beach, on one planet.
Ocean.
And
inside of a bigger ocean.
And I was just like, oh no, everything's pointless. At 7. It was super healthy. I mean, I guess it's better than thinking I was the center of the universe.
I thought for a very short period of time that everybody else was a figment of my imagination.
I remember that.
And that I was crazy. And then I started thinking, what if I'm a figment of everybody else's imagination and I'm not real?
What the heck? That's some deep crap right there.
Yeah. That's where I was at when I was a little kid.
I kind of remember you even bringing that up once.
Yeah.
And being like, what if I'm asleep right now and none of you are real? And I was like, well, I am real. I was like, I wanted to reassure you, but oh wait, but how would she know?
I still sometimes have these moments where I'm like, am I just crazy and none of these people are real?
For a while, I would sit there and think, like, try to imagine what it would be like if there was just nothing.
Yeah.
Like, absolute nothingness. Like, no existence of any kind.
It'd be super boring.
It freaked me out. Like, I imagine just, like, pitch black. And nothing happening, no sound. Like, no consciousness.
This is Princess in Another Podcast, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
We did it!
We started with the name!
No, we didn't. We started with like a ton of random crap for the last 12 minutes, most of which I'm going to try to find a way to cut.
It's before the end, so we're making progress. High fives!
Woo!
Woo! Yeah.
This is Elsa.
This is Jensen.
This is Erin.
And we introduced ourselves.
Yay!
So I guess that means we're growing up.
We're legit.
As a podcast.
Yay.
And we have an email from a listener.
We do.
Today's a good day.
Ooh.
Like, we're almost like properly doing the podcast thing at this point. Erin, what are you playing right now?
Well, so Jensen and I have been playing a lot of Anthem together.
Yes.
Which has been awesome. got a couple of friends who've been playing online with us, so we have a full squad, you guys.
Yeah.
It's so cool, but it's like...
Except the three of us play as Storms, and then I play as an interceptor. So it's not quite a full squad.
Yeah, but it's...
Not like a well-rounded squad.
It's 4 people, so technically it's a squad. But I don't understand why people have been giving it so much crap.
I don't either.
Like, I can understand that the narrative part of it and the role-playing part of it isn't perfect. It's a little...
It's lacking.
It's kind of lacking. But in general, it's just a fun game. Like, you get to zoom around in a robot suit and fire everywhere and shoot some lightning. And...
You get to be a freaking robot mage.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you can go underwater, and it's so pretty. But yeah, anyway, we love it, and people are dumb. So, yeah. I just beat Devil May Cry 5 on easy because I'm a wimp. And so I'm going through it again on normal. We'll see what happens. But V is definitely my favorite to play with. He's just, like Elsa was saying, he's just so smooth and easy to control. And other than that, he's just awesome. So yeah.
Did you say that?
Earlier, not on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, as Elsa was saying earlier this evening.
Earlier in real life.
Before we started recording.
Yeah, before we started recording. And also the other night I tried a few minutes of Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is something I've never seen before. It's really cool. It's like a rhythm dungeon crawler, and you have to move to the beat and attack on the beat and predict your enemies' moves and where they go, and
that looks like, seriously addictive.
It's super addicting. I didn't think I would like it because, I don't know, I don't really like games like that, but I was so into it. It's awesome. So.
That one looks good.
Yeah.
Looks fun.
Jensen, what are you playing right now?
I am also playing Anthem, and as Aaron said, I spelled it wrong in my notes. Spelled it Atham.
You're not playing Anthem then, you're playing Atham.
I'm playing Atham.
Tell us about Atham.
Well, I'm trying so hard not to laugh. I just keep getting the giggles over stupid things.
I'm tired.
Okay. Well, I love it far more than I ever expected to. Like, seriously. Last year, when I first heard stuff about it and heard that it was going to be multiplayer, I distinctly remember I told one of my friends, well, I'm going to get it, but I'm probably not going to play it very much. I'm going to get it to support BioWare, but... And, oh my gosh, I love it. I'm well on my way to getting the Platinum Trophy. I've just been doing, everything I possibly can. And I just think that the gameplay is so much fun. And the story is lacking, but it has surprised me in a couple of places. I won't say that spoiler, but the other day when we were playing,
I did not see that coming.
That coming at all.
Mm-mm.
It was great.
Did not even suspect it.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
Do you think part of why you've had a more positive experience with it maybe is because you went in with lower expectations?
I think probably.
You were kind of like, this is not a type of game I usually play.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a type of game that this company usually makes.
Yeah. And even after the demo, I was like, I don't think I'm going to like it that much.
Because I don't have as much of a history with BioWare's games as either of you. But to me, looking at this, I could still, even as an outsider, I guess, I could still kind of see how Anthem was. I saw a lot more of EA and Anthem than BioWare.
Mm-hmm. Except though, if you accept my theory about the world, there's a lot of BioWare stuff.
Okay, go ahead and share your theory.
Okay, my theory is that we're gonna find out that this world, Bastion, I think is what it's called, is in the Andromeda system, and it was, colonized by humans from the Nexus who left in Mass Effect Andromeda. So I think it's in the Mass Effect universe. And my reasons for supporting this is, okay, it's just a little thing, but they have the N7 vinyl in there. And it could just be like it's a BioWare game. Here you go, fans. Here's a fun little Mass Effect nod. But it could be an actual thing, in their world. Because N7s exist in Mass Effect. Also, I met a Scar leader. I think they called it an Iskari. and it looked like an armored Rachni, and it talked exactly like the Rachni. So I think that's the Rachni. I think it jumped onto one of the ships and it followed them to Andromeda. So that's my theory.
Wasn't there also an interview?
Oh, well, no, that was just them saying we're not done with Mass Effect. Like, people asked them if they
So it
were gonna
wasn't
do
any
more.
hard evidence, but it was
No.
maybe the sort of like, ooh, I got you.
It could be, like, the way I took it, I was like, well, it could be they're working on more games, or it could be that they already made another one. They just called it Anthem.
Oh,
So that's my theory. It might be crazy, but I like it.
I do too.
Yeah.
I dig it.
And then, but yeah, I love Anthem, and I think it's great. Other than that, I've been playing more Assassin's Creed 2, trying to finish it up for the second time for fun and get all the achievements. And then I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 3. And you guys, it's so corny, but it's corny in a good way. It's corny in the way that the first one was, where someone says something and I go, that's dumb. Instead of where, like, the second one, where someone says something stupid, I go, okay, that's just dumb.
There's a distinct difference.
Yes, there's a distinct difference.
And the difference is your enjoyment.
Yeah. The Toy Story level has so far been my favorite. I think it was just so cute.
Aww.
And there was this great moment where Woody just had this, like, drop the mic moment. He just, like, tore apart one of the Organization 13 people. And then, I can't remember the line. Sora delivered some line where me and Lainey were like, oh. I can't remember it now. She remembered it perfectly and kept quoting it. It was really great. Also, the Organization 13 people are a little bit less annoying.
That's good.
Yeah, they haven't had any conversations so far where I'm at, where it's that annoying thing where they know what's happening, but they're talking about it really vague, so you don't know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So far, there hasn't been too much of that.
They're just like, have a scene.
Yeah. In fact, one of the guys said something to Sora where I was like, he makes a good point, Sora. So I'm enjoying this one a lot more. And the being able to take pictures, the camera mode, is super fun. I think I managed to keep that not too long.
Mm-hmm.
Not as long as my sections usually are.
Oh, you do fine.
I'm the
Yeah.
worst. I'm practically Brita.
You're Britta.
So I finally bought a PS4 Pro.
Woo!
I love it. It's beautiful. It's so pretty. Okay, so I got one of the special edition Star Wars one. I just always like to get the special editions. I don't know why.
Even if it's for a game that you're not playing.
Even if it's for a game
I mean, you've got the Gears of War Xbox.
Yeah, I've
you don't
never
play
played
Gears of War. You
But
gave me the game.
Look, the Gears of War Xbox is turquoise.
Yeah.
That's why
It's
I
beautiful.
got that one, because I was like, oh, it's turquoise. And and
that's
I
your
gave
color.
the game to you. So it worked out.
I got a game.
And with the PS4 Pro, I got it pre-owned or used or whatever you say when it's a machine.
Pre-owned.
Okay, fine. And so it didn't have a game that came with it. It's just the Star Wars Star Wars PS4. It's really late.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful. And I bought 2 games to go along with it last week to play. And they were Devil May Cry 5 and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Yes.
And I am just so pleased with my choices.
Oh, yes.
Can I just say? Like, I haven't used this excuse yet. And I was thinking I was going to save it for the inevitable week when we get together, and they're like, and you guys are like, Elsa, what are you playing? And I'm like, nothing. I'm not playing anything. But it's tax season. It's tax season. I work in tax law. I'm doing all kinds of taxes right now. My life is just tax. And so I haven't been able to play very much.
Would you say your life is taxing?
It's very taxing, Erin.
Okay, it's maybe that was maybe a little too funny just because it's kind of late right now.
Well,
But good one.
thank you very much, Erin, for that excellent use of pun. Yes, my life is in fact incredibly taxing right now. But in spite of that, I did manage to get some play in. Just in the couple of hours a day that I am not doing taxes. Devil May Cry 5 is just criminally fun. Like, I am just having a blast.
Right?
I love playing as these characters. They're so fun. Every little thing, it just makes me smile all the way through. I think the only thing about it that is even slightly not gelling or vibing or whatever the term is with me is just the English voice acting. Is like painful in some places.
So bad.
Like every once in a while they deliver a line and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, that's part of the charm, I guess. But then they deliver 5 more lines and I'm like, I can't do this. So I just switched the language over to Japanese and now I don't have that problem anymore and the game's perfect.
Yeah, no, it's much better. Yeah, in fact, when Zach saw me playing the game for a little bit, he said, oh man, I thought this one would be less cheesy than the others. And I was like, but Zach, it's Devil May Cry.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. The way that I described it to Jensen is that I feel like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta have a very similar vibe. But in Bayonetta, they're kind of like winking at you the whole time. And they're like, yeah, this is funny. But in Devil May Cry, they're taking it so dead seriously. Sometimes they're just like, guys, chill out. Yeah. And they never do. And it's great. I'm having such a blast. I cannot wait. Like I was looking at this game and I'm just so excited. I'm doing it like you're doing it. I'm just playing it on every single, like I'm playing it first on Human and then I'm going to play it on Devil Hunter and then I'm going to do Dante Must Die and like I'm just going to move. Like I'm just going to move through the different difficulties. And then Sekiro is also so much fun, but in a very different way. Sekiro is punishing. It's like definitely, you can see From Software in its DNA. The second that I got control of the character, it's got some beautiful opening cutscenes, but like the second that I could actually move, it was just so apparent that I was in, you know, that kind of a game. Like they start you with this moment of intended play where like your character is facing one corridor, but you can turn all the way around and you can go behind you instead. And there's like a drop off and some water. And like I faced it for a second and I had this moment where I was like, okay, so in Dark Souls, if you plunge into the water like that, you're dead. But this is a totally different game. I wonder if I can swim. And like I immediately had to test it. You know, like it's just these little moments like that where From Software like invites you to do something different than what is necessarily considered intended play, because it's all intended play. So like it's just been fascinating. And I have to talk about the fighting, don't I? Like it's just so great and so fascinating and so different from anything I've done before. The posture bar is just an amazing concept. I'm getting used to it finally. So like just bottom line, I'm definitely one of those people who's having a harder time with Sekiro than I ever did with Dark Souls. And and there's been some back and forth. Like I've heard some people say, oh no, Sekiro's easier, and then other people saying no, it's harder. And I think the difference comes down to like what your strengths were in Dark Souls. Because in Sekiro, it seems like the biggest difference to me in the fighting style is that there's much more of an emphasis on reaction time.
I think that's why I haven't played very much Sekiro yet, but for me, I found the beginning bit to be a lot easier than the beginning bit of Dark Souls the first time I played it. I couldn't beat a boss on my own, except for the Taurus demon, until Nito. Nito Burrito.
Yeah.
I had to have you help me with all the bosses before Nito.
Oh, I forgot
except
about
for the Taurus demon, because I could not. I was having so much trouble. But
I forgot that I jumped in and helped you for that. Yeah, that's right.
With Sekiro, it feels like it's a lot more my speed, because it's about like, I really love stuff that relies on reaction time in games and the stealth. Stealth is my jam.
Yes.
Oh, I love the stealth stuff in Sekiro. Like
it's so fast paced.
Every single level that I've done so far kind of starts off with like a stealth sequence, and then you got to fight a boss. The stealth is just really, it feels so good. It's so quick. It's so fast paced, and you're trying to say something. Yeah,
except that they've taken out my favorite way of stealth killing enemies in stealth games, which is where you go over, you stab them, and you get the stealth hit and take their health down, and then you run away, and then you come back and get them again. When you come back, their health is back.
Yeah.
So you can't do that.
Yeah,
So I was
learned-
like, are you kidding me?
I learned that
That's
pretty
my
fast.
favorite.
Because I immediately tried that trick on one of them.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, they're not letting me do
That's
that.
my favorite trick. I love to do that because I like to imagine it like in a real life.
Okay,
where you like stab the person, then you run away and they're like, oh, darn it.
It will-
And then all of a sudden you jump on top of them again and kill them.
It will work
It's
on
so funny.
it will work on like the other enemies. It just won't work on
Yeah.
bosses.
But not on bosses.
Or mini bosses or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, oh my gosh, this game, I don't know where to start. Like, everything about it is just gorgeous. I love all the little things that they've done to kind of try to help you. There's an entire character whose purpose within the game, as far as gameplay goes, is just to teach you how to actually fight. And it's
fun.
It's wonderful. Like, they've woven it into the narrative in a way that actually makes sense, but it's also pretty obvious what it's there for. And then we've got all kinds of theories. Like, we couldn't help but spout off a bunch of theories. And like, I'm not very far into the game. I mean, I'm not very far into either of these games because tax season. But on Devil May Cry, I think I'm on like mission 9, and then on Sekiro, I'm at Harada Estate. I'm about to take on the Shinobi Hunter, and so like, I'm just not very far in either game. But I still have so many theories, and I'm so excited to see them like shot down one after another. Although I do think that we're right.
We're right at least about one of them.
I think we're right about, okay,
I'm
like
100%
I don't know
certain.
if this is spoilers. I don't really think it's spoilers because I'm just not that far in the game, and this is just me wildly speculating.
Yeah.
About future stuff in the game. But I do feel like they've dropped a lot of hints that the sculptor is your wolf. Like,
it's your character
in the
from the future.
Like,
we're pretty darn sure.
There absolutely is time travel in this game.
Yeah.
So like, we've got two characters with one arm, and
Same missing arm.
look a lot alike,
Looks similar.
except one's like super old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
at
know?
one point, the sculptor guy says something to Wolf about like when he will first carve one of the Buddha, which is what he does now. The sculptor guy just
sits
carves
there
Buddha
carving the
constantly.
Buddha all day long,
And he
he's
says
got
something about
tons of
Wolf
them.
about when he'll first carve one.
And
Like,
he,
not if you would do it, when you do it. And we were both like, okay, come
Yeah.
on, guys.
and he gives him his prosthetic.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He
Like,
gives it over to him.
and he says something about how it's no good for carving, it's better for fighting, and he gives it to his younger self, is what I'm thinking happened there.
yeah.
So like, there's
Which is crazy, like, time, like, with wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff, because where did that prosthetic come from?
Mm-hmm.
If he got it from his future self,
Oh.
and then he gives it to his past self, it's just existed.
Oh dang.
I love it.
yeah, it just exists in a loop. Anyway, so there's that, and then I have a couple of weird craft theories too. I was like, what if the Lord is also you as a child, or what if the little Lord is actually a little lady,
And like Emma is a child.
and it's Emma as a child?
What if Emma is you, but from an alternate timeline?
What if everybody in this universe has a double?
What if Wolf is a woman?
we started theorizing about a lot of things, and it got a little crazy.
Yeah.
The more that I tried to clear out this one area over and over again, and just kept laughing and dying. And I would like to say I have not had nearly as many fall deaths in Sekiro as I have in every other Souls game, and it's due to the fact that their collision boxes don't let you fall off things as easily.
You also can fall from much higher up.
You have to like intend to fall.
She has
Yeah,
still gotten fall
I have
deaths.
still gotten fall
I've
deaths.
seen like how far you can jump without getting hurt. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Like,
It's great.
it's nuts.
You're so bouncy. I love playing
the-
as him.
like,
He
the
moves
grappling
so
thing.
smoothly.
I love using the grappling thing, like, to pull myself towards something and then midair switching to a new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten.
It's my favorite.
I'm
It's
getting
so
a little bit
fun.
Spider-Man with it,
Yeah.
especially in Harada Estate, just because there's not a lot of high buildings in that one, but there are just a lot of grappling points all over, and so I've been having a lot of fun being Spider-Man. Spider-Man, especially when I had to go in and clear out the evil rooster things.
Oh gosh.
I mean, I don't even know if they're evil. They're just huge and they attack me. But
And they like freak out and alert everyone that you're there.
Yeah. Oh man.
and if you
They're
get
gigantic roosters.
and like you get swarmed by them, and it's the worst.
Our mom was watching us play, and she was like, "Don't hurt the chicken."
And I was just like, it's evil. It's a bad chicken, Mom.
That's one thing
And-
I've seen on the internet. People are like, I wonder when PETA's gonna freak out about Sekiro, because he also killed monkeys.
Oh no, monkeys!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't encountered any monkeys yet, but I know they're coming.
Mhm.
No,
I know.
monkeys.
I know, monkeys are cute.
Monkeys are so fun.
Aw. Anyway, I love Sekiro. I'm having the time of my life with it. It's definitely harder for me than Dark Souls, mainly just because my reaction time has never been like amazing. And so I'm really having to step up my game and focus,
Yeah.
because I'm usually like a full half second behind, and that's just way too much.
You're used to Dark Souls timing.
Yeah, I'm used to Dark Souls timing, which is like a little more deliberate, you know, like you kind of have to wait through the whole animation.
Yeah.
This one, he's much, much faster. It's much more like obeying your thoughts, but I just don't think that fast anymore. I'd be slow.
Yeah.
It's like, it's interesting because I thought that between the two, I felt like Devil May Cry was the one where I was going to have the faster reaction time, but it's Sekiro.
Yeah.
It's definitely Sekiro. Of course, I'm playing Devil May Cry on easy.
Mhm.
So
That helps if you have auto chain combos on Devil May Cry.
yeah, I don't think I have that on.
You do have auto that appears at the top of the screen, but I
it's
don't know
only
what
there-
that's for.
But it's only there sometimes.
Yeah, it's only there sometimes.
I remember going through the options, and I remember turning off the auto stuff.
Oh.
I don't know why.
So
I don't know what that
that's-
means.
I turned it on because I was like, I just want to look cool. I don't care if I'm like awesome at making combos. I don't have time to memorize all those. Frick. I'm not as young and spry as I used to be.
That's how I feel about most combos in games when I'm like unlocking stuff and it's like, press this, this, and this to do this move. I go, I'm never gonna do
Yeah, it's
that.
like, I'm just gonna button mash and hope that it happens.
I know.
Well, I thought that was like the really fun thing about fighting in Bayonetta. So I kind of want to learn all of that.
I like-
Yeah.
I liked learning sort of combo moves with air quotes in Dark Souls because there were no like combo lists. It was just like, what happens if I do a heavy attack after I do a light attack? What happens if I run and I do a heavy attack and then I do a light attack? Like those kind of things.
Yeah.
What do you guys think the Soulsborne games are going to be called now that Sekiro has been added?
Soulsborne Shadow Games.
Soulsborne Shadow.
Shadowborn?
Soul Shadowborn Games.
Shadow Soulborn.
Soulsborne.
Shadowborn Soul.
Shadow.
Soulsborne Die Twice.
Okay, it can't be that one because I can't say it.
Okay.
What was that?
Soulsborne Die Twice.
Okay.
It's late.
Yeah. So
Okay, wait,
Jensen
really
needs
first-
to do.
Really first, what did you name your PlayStation?
Okay. So I named it Uncle Owen.
After Luke's uncle.
Yeah.
It seems kind of like an omen to me.
I'm a little worried for your
I bought a
PlayStation.
warranty. Just because I figured I would definitely end up using it.
Yeah.
It's good for 2 years, and probably towards the end of 2 years, it's gonna be a little.
Poor Uncle Owen's gonna be going out to pasture
Yeah. I mean,
to get burned up in an explosion.
I'm just anticipating that I might have to trade it in for another model in about 2 years. So now we're gonna have a segment that we will title "Jensen Needs to Do Research Corner."
And in the spirit of this corner, I didn't do research on these things that I didn't do research on and got wrong, I think. In like episode 5. Oh, they were both in episode 5. In episode 5, I think I said that Tron, there's no romance in Tron. And I think there actually is.
Yeah, there is.
I didn't do research, but
I heard you say that at the time, and I was like, "Oh, just let her go."
I saw a screenshot of Tron, like from the first Tron, and some lady Tron, and it said something about romance in the bottom of the picture, and I was like, what? I don't remember that. But so apparently I was wrong about that. Other thing that I need to do research on that I messed up is I think you're actually fighting the twins in Far Cry New Dawn.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
not
sure
playing
yet because I just bought the game and I haven't started it yet. But
Yeah, I don't think you're playing as the twins. I think you're fighting.
I think I was just hoping that I would play as the twins because they looked cool, but I think they're the bad guys. So,
Just like in the Matrix.
I mean, they are on the cover, and that's kind of the
Far Cry thing is to put the villain on the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's Jensen needs to do research corner.
I can do a brief Elsa
shouldn't
needs
do
to redo
research
research corner if you want.
Okay.
I was just gonna go back and edit this out of the episode because honestly, who cares? But let's just admit that Detention, the game that I played, does not take place in Korea.
Yeah.
Elsa doesn't know anything about anything.
When you were playing it, you straight
I said-
up to my face told me it takes place in Korea.
I know.
So I didn't correct you during the episode because I had already gotten information from you that it was in Korea.
The truth is that I didn't do any research about it, and I can't tell my Asian languages apart when I read them. That's really the truth. It takes place in Taiwan.
Okay.
Which makes sense, because as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, they got problems with China too. Like, I just... as so many countries do. But, like, as soon as I said... I don't know. Anyway, I don't know anything.
Yeah. It's okay. Apparently, Aaron's the only one who knows anything.
Yeah.
So we don't have Aaron needs to do
Aaron
research
doesn't-
corner.
whenever I
Aaron
have-
does her research.
Erin just doesn't say something unless she knows it to be true, which is something we could all learn.
Yeah.
I do my research when I can.
I really don't. What is wrong with me?
So, our big question for today that we're going to tackle is, what is your final form? Erin, describe your final form to us.
Okay. Well,
This is you as a boss destroying plucky young gamers.
oh man. Okay, so I immediately went back to my childhood because when the first Devil May Cry came out, I feel like I say that on a lot of podcasts. When the first Devil May Cry came out,
It was a big moment for you.
It was.
For all of us.
It's my freaking jam. It's one of my favorite games ever.
Do you remember when you bought that for me at
I
GameStop? Because
do.
you were old enough to get it and I wasn't.
Oh, that's so
You
sweet. We
were
talked about it in a previous
16.
episode.
We
Move
did?
on.
Going on 17.
I don't have a good memory, you guys.
It's all right.
But yeah, I would always daydream that I was a powerful being like Dante and that I had a devil trigger. And, you know, Dante and I were an item, but we're not going to get into that right now. I mean, I was like 10 or 12 years old.
No judgment.
I had a huge crush on Dante,
I have
okay?
clear memories of you talking about how you wanted to marry Dante.
Yeah, you know, like I said, no judgment. We all fell in love with random little anime edgelords when we were 10.
Oh gosh, Gene
And
from
then
Outlaw Star.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, yeah. And then you grow up and you're like, wow, they're
That
able
guy's a
to
dick.
win.
I know.
They're
Like, he is
terrible
super annoying.
womanizers.
Like, oh, just
But-
kidding.
Yeah. So my final form is a devil trigger. But it's closer to Lucia's devil trigger in the second Devil May Cry. So like slender and pretty with big feathery wings and glowing blue and so yeah, like I would have a really bright aura and my eyes and swords would be like electric blue and glowy, and I speed around and twirl my blades and hurl balls of energy, maybe call down some lightning, and my health regenerates at a fast pace. But my main weakness is getting really hungry. So I'll just exit Devil Trigger and just sit on the ground and complain about how I don't have any food.
That's great.
Probably look at the protagonist and be like, you hungry? Do you want to go get something? We can finish this later.
Don't you even have any, like, soda crackers in your pocket?
Or you just start going, Zach! Zach, let's go get some pizza!
Zach, I'm hungry.
I was trying to do your weird, Zach!
Aussie yak. He has his headphones on.
Well, since he has his headphones on, I can say this. You were very wise to marry someone like Zach.
Aw,
who always
thank you.
also seems to be hungry.
It's true. We have that in common. We like food.
Jensen, what is your final form?
So, since I absolutely love stealth games and I hate the sun, I would become a shadow creature and I would flatworm my way around my lair, like slide around on the ground like a big shadowy monster, and then pop up every once in a while and smack the player. The only way to deal damage to me is by shining light on me. So, like, they'd have to break apart like the walls of my lair and bring in the sunlight, and when the light hits me, I let out a horrible noise like I did it funnier earlier.
You were like,
Wait, one more time.
With the eye twitch and everything.
Yeah.
And then I like trip or I stub my toe or something, and that's how I receive damage. And you just have to do that for a while until my lair is flooded with light, and then I'm just like lying in the fetal position like, it's too bright and hot.
Okay, my final form. First of all, I would grow to be like 30 feet tall. And my feet are... Okay, so people who've seen my feet will notice that they look a little strange. They're small.
You look like you've had bound feet.
I know. They're small and they have an especially high arch. It's like... Everybody's laughing, but honestly, it's a little hard sometimes. I like can't wear certain kinds of shoes. Like really cute ones.
oh.
Anyway, so my feet would deform even further. And like I would have like a bone stiletto come out of the heel, and my toenails get all long and gross, and my fingernails get all long and gross, and my hair gets super long, and like I'm just wearing my hair, but like not cute and classy like my girl Bayonetta, but like I'm thinking, if you guys ever read Scary Stories to Read in the Dark, there's this one image that always stuck with me of like the wolf girl with, she's got this mane of gnarly gross hair that's like growing into her back hair and coming down her entire body. So yeah, no, I'm gonna like look more like that. Yeah. And like I'll have this one super long braid that's down to my ankles and back. And like my moveset is gonna be a lot of impaling and stuff with the claws on my fingers and my toes. And then I have this evasion technique where I just unexpectedly run in into another room and then look around confused like I'm not sure how I got there. And I have this...
does that all the time.
I know. I don't know why I do that. And I have this AoE attack, and it sounds like this horrific inhuman scream. And like my whole body just shakes and I jolt forward. But if you look into the lore of my character, you find out this is actually just me sneezing. And I also have this really great thigh crushing attack that can kill you if you're not well armored. And the best way to defeat me is actually to climb up that braid hanging in the back and to jab a sword or something sharp into this scar on the back of my neck that it's always going to be there. And yeah, and so that's me as a boss.
Nice. Do they call you the scream sneezer?
I don't know what they call me. I didn't come up with a name for it.
I didn't either.
It needs to be something, because like here's the thing, people look at my name and they don't know how to say it, and so I think that my boss name needs to be that, but like to the next level.
So like really long, like Elfsagesi.
Yeah, sure. We could call me Alpsagesi. Why not? I think that's like the old Irish name for Irish or Scottish. I don't remember which. It's that island between the two. It's probably technically Scotland. I think it is. Anyway, so it's like an old...
Because Elsa is an Irish name.
I don't know. Yeah. It's an Irish spelling.
I'm pretty sure.
But of a Nordic name.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's late, you guys.
Our ancestors were not friends, and yet somehow here I am. So, yeah, that's me as a boss.
Nice.
And now we have a couple of questions from Christy, who wants to know our thoughts first on Google Stadia. So, Erin, Google Stadia, what you think?
So I haven't watched or read a lot on it so far, but what I've seen, it looks really super cool. But I worry that I don't have devices that are good enough for those kinds of streaming capabilities. Like I have an iPhone, but I have the PS4 Remote Play, and so I've tried to play a couple of games on it, and I mean it's okay. Like I definitely don't prefer to play on my phone, but it's just like a last resort kind of thing if the TV is already taken. Anyway, but I'm really excited that they're trying to make it easier to capture gameplay and share it. Like it's such a pain in the butt right now, like with our still trying to do freaking BioShock, and we finally found a solution after like several months of trying to figure this piece of crap out, because yeah, the developers don't want you to stream or capture it or stream it from the Xbox, which is like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So weird.
Like, heaven forbid you should get free exposure, but whatever. The controller is pretty weird looking, but I did see like a light green one that I liked.
So if the color is right.
Yeah, if the color is right.
Well, and it might look weird, but it could feel good.
Yeah, it might feel good.
Like sometimes you look at the controller and you're just like, I can't imagine using that, and then you put it in your hands and you're like, oh.
That's how I felt about the PlayStation 4 controller.
Yeah.
First time I saw it, I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And then I put it in my hands and I was like, this is the perfect controller.
I remember having a similar reaction. Like
Yeah.
the first time I looked at the PlayStation 4 controller, I was like, I don't know about that. That could suck.
Yeah.
But then I played with it for like 20 minutes and was like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, up
Fantastic.
until then, the Xbox One controller was the most comfortable I'd held, but
Yeah.
I prefer PS4 controller now.
Mhm.
But anyway, I really like that it has a help button on it. So like if you get stuck in your game, don't know where to go, don't know what to do, you can press this little help button and like type in a prompt like, how do I beat this dungeon?
That's what I do
Or-
already on Google.
Yeah, but
Something
now you
like
can
that.
do it on your controller.
But yeah, so now instead of like getting a completely separate device or opening a different window if you're playing on your computer, it's just in game. Like it gives you tips
That's
and,
pretty cool.
and hints at everything. So that to me is really cool, because there are a lot of puzzle games that I get stuck on and I just don't have the patience to figure them out. So that would be like perfect for me.
I haven't heard too much about it. From what I have heard, I think if it does work, then that's awesome. But I'm pretty apprehensive about it. I don't know how well it'll work. I mean, I have trouble just streaming from my Xbox to my computer. The other day I could not get Assassin's Creed to work. Like I was trying to stream it to my computer so I could play it while I was watching Elsa play Sekiro, and I just couldn't get it to work. It was just frozen constantly. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about that. If it works, cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot that suggests that this is probably like their best effort at doing this kind of thing. And, you know, there's been a few attempts in years previous to create some sort of a streaming service for games that's viable. And they kind of keep running into a lot of the same problems. And that's the main thing that I am worried about, is just the processing. Because, you know, games like Fortnite and stuff, they're not, your console's still doing the processing. And the way that they've got it set, at least as I understand it, this could turn into another corrections corner later, but at least as I understand it, they're saying that like the streaming service, all the cloud and everything is going to be doing all of your processing. And that to me is like, ooh, like, okay, so like the network problems that we run into even now with something like that, I mean, I just think that would be devastating to it.
Yeah.
But I do think that in a lot of ways, that's probably going to be the future of gaming, is something like that. I just don't know if it's going to work this time.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to work eventually. I hope it works this time. I hope that they really know what they're doing. It kind of, like I said, I think it's their best effort so far. And there's a lot to suggest that, you know, Xbox and other people are getting on board with it and are realizing that this is probably where gaming's going to end up at some point or another. And so I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited. I'm a little worried for us specifically, just because I feel like we live in such a weird black hole of service.
Oh man.
Like, even if you have really good Wi-Fi, you still like can't viably Twitch stream around here. And like
streaming just does not work.
Yeah.
like we've tried, and it's just like it's bad.
It's terrible.
A lot of it does just come down to like network issues and service issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's not perfect. And it kind of needs to be perfect in order for you to have the same kind of positive experience that you can have just playing a game on your console, where like it's handling all of the main work. And so I think that we're not at the point where, at least for me, it's going to replace console gaming, but I think a lot of people are ready for that, are ready to take that next step, and I think that that's where we're going to end up eventually. So this could be a big push in that direction.
It could be really cool.
Yeah.
I hope it works out.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
And then the other question she had, so we talked about the adaptive Xbox controller, and the commercial that made us all cry. And, this is a controller that has been designed specifically to help people with physical disabilities who would have trouble using a traditional controller to still be able to like participate in the game to its fullest extent. And so Christy's question has to do with like what kinds of solutions we could come up with specifically for Pokemon Go, where the limitation is like going. So like the idea is, some people for health reasons just can't go outside and wander around a park and get 15 different Pokestops in an area, and so that just means that this is not a game that they've been able to play. And so one by one, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pitch some ideas about what we would do. And Erin, you want to go first?
Sure. So I think that would be super cool if Pokemon Go got on board with making games accessible to everyone. But maybe they could allow people to access nearby areas, Pokestops, gyms, and Pokemon. And maybe as their level grows, more of the map could become available to them, so they wouldn't be confined to just one specific area.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of the map kind of stretching out. And I mean, where some of there's a lot of the times they joke that like there's 3 people left playing Pokemon Go and it's us. But like the truth is that a lot of people still play it. It's just that compared to those first crazy weeks when like everyone on the planet was playing it, a lot of people have dropped off. Yeah. But there's still actually a pretty huge community. Like there was like a community day a few weeks ago that I remember where you could still see droves of people like out wandering around. So yeah, it's still a thing that people do. And I've thought about this before because I remember thinking, I was like, okay, well, like the idea that they're getting people to go outside and walk around, like that's nice, but like it comes with so many problems for them, and like that was some of the negative press surrounding it. Like people are trespassing, there's Pokemon spawning in weird points that are like dangerous, like or whatever, that people shouldn't try to go get, and they're doing it anyway because of course they are. And so one of the thoughts that I've kind of had in the past from that perspective, and then also from this perspective that Christy's giving us of like, sometimes people just physically can't go. Like I actually think it reminded me a little bit of this game that I played. Call it a game. Oh yeah, it's a game that I played at the suggestion of Tumblr once, where you get dropped on just a random section of Google Maps somewhere in the world, and you just have to find an airport. And so you're like, wherever you are on the map, you're just supposed to walk around until make your way towards the airport, wherever you are. And I felt like that was so fun, and it was so silly. And I remember I found myself in India once, and I was out in the middle of freaking nowhere, and I was just like, what? I'm probably hundreds of miles from an airport. And I just wandered around until I found Mumbai, and then I got tired and I had to go eat something, and I never found the airport. But like, so like the idea, I think you could have Pokemon Go kind of work that way, where it's like the limitation is just how far you want to make your character physically walk, and that sort of novelty of it being in the real world and of being in your surroundings, I think could be a lot of fun. Yeah. And then of course you could always have the option to like snap back to whatever your actual location is. and explore a different direction if you get lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I think that there's definitely some possibilities there that they might have missed out on to like make it something a little bit more exploratory around the map. And I think they were just really committed to the idea of, well, we want people to go outside, and it's like, yeah, that's great, except maybe some people shouldn't do that because they're gonna, trespass or try and climb things they shouldn't in order to get Pokemon that they don't really need.
Virtual Pokemon.
Or maybe they can't go outside, and like that's all right, they want to play too, like come on. So that would be my suggestion on how to fix that.
I think those are both really good suggestions. I think that it would be a good idea for them to have that as kind of an option that you can move around. Like, I like your idea of just being able to like kind of wander, and I like your idea of like expanding the map. And I think that they could still have the option to just like move around, and maybe you gather steps to like hatch eggs and stuff faster if you're actually moving around, but you still get some when you're just like moving in the app. And then that would you'd still be able to have the idea of like motivating people to get out and walk around, which I know they like, obviously they really wanted that.
They were super committed to that even when it started to cause them problems.
But like you'd still have that option, and there would be that little perk for that you could hatch eggs faster this way. But for people who can't get up and like get out there, then you could still play it. Because like with my job, I can't just like ditch the kids that I'm watching just to go get that Pokestop down the street. Like I'm just barely out of reach of it, but I can't just do that. And I really want to get that Pokestop. And if I could just move my character just a couple feet away, I could get it. Yeah. It's always just like right there.
Yeah. So close.
I know. And it's really frustrating when it's something like that where you're like, there is a thing that is just barely out of my reach, and I cannot possibly get to it. And so that's my idea.
Beautiful, beautiful suggestions, everyone. We've done it.
We cracked the case.
We've figured out the solution.
And before midnight?
Whoa,
huzzah!
We're
Okay.
so good.
So we're the best. This is Princess in Another Podcast. We're the best. We managed to finish before midnight. Now we're going to go to bed. So good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm not singing.